Kia ora, Tristan here. I am a pop-up sommelier and a wine merchant. I would like to welcome you all to this second installment of Wine Stories, A Game of Rhônes. If you tuned in for the very first installment, you will be well aware that we just touched on a few red wines of the Southern Rhône Valley. This episode, we're going to look at a couple of whites. We have a generic Côte de Rhône from Domaine, and then going quite far south into the region, we have a little appellation by the name of Lilac by a producer called Plateau des Champs. So when people think of the Rhône Valley or Côte de Rhône wine, they normally associate it as a region that only makes red. However, there are some whites being made in the region. They just haven't until recently, in maybe the last 10 years, started to get some momentum and begin to hold a little bit of prestige. Before that, they weren't really a region that was known for producing whites. So typically, white wines from the Southern Rhône Valley are a medium to full-bodied style. They have very pronounced aromatics, they're high alcohol, and they have a lowish acidity. However, this can vary depending on which part of the region the grapes have come from. So what are the grapes they use in a white wine from the Rhône Valley? So, any wine that is under the appellation title of Côte de Rhône will consist of a majority of Grenache Blanc, Claret, Marsanne, Roussanne, Bourbon Blanc, Viognier, and there are also other lesser varietals that can be put into the blend, and they are normally Ugni Blanc and Picpoul. So, this is where things can get a little bit confusing. So a wine under the appellation title of Côte de Rhône Blanc must consist of at least 80% of the main varietals that I just mentioned previously, and the lesser varietals cannot exceed 20%. But these percentages are used to regulate the plantings in the ground and not always the percentage in the bottle. I know, pretty confusing, right? As an example, a producer who is making a wine under the Côte de Rhône appellation title may have planted in the vineyard 40% Marsanne, 30% Grenache Blanc, and 30% Roussanne. But for some reasons, such as potentially the Grenache Blanc and the Roussanne not producing good crop this year, they may decide to go, okay, well, this is bad fruit, but we've got that great Marsanne over there that we've planted 40% of in our vineyard plantings, and we're going to make a straight varietal wine with that. And as I said before, because they're planted 80% of those main varietals, they can do that. Okay, so we're going to cut straight to the chase and get tasting these wines. So the first one is a Côte de Rhône from a producer called Domaine, and this is their brand Variations, 2016. And in terms of what grapes are in this wine, this guy is a blend of Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Picpoul. So just before I put my nose in this, I just want to point out the lovely color of this wine. Look at that. It's like a lovely deep lemon pushing gold. It's freaking awesome. Okay, so on the nose with this wine, Domaine Variations Côte de Rhône, 2016. Big kind of peach, apricot, so those stone fruits are super prominent. A little bit of red apple, Also, some citrus, lime and lemon. Um, they kind of mineral notes coming through too, and also hints of white flowers. Hmm. Wow. And just on a second sniff, I'm also getting some notes of petrol and kerosene, which is usually a common descriptor in Riesling. Wow. Well, the first thing I'm going to say is this wine is a lot more acidic than I thought it was going to be, which is great. I personally love wines with high acidity. On the palate, this wine is apricot, red apple, lime, hints of minerality in the way of whetstone. It has a slightly oily texture on the mouthfeel, so I'm gonna say this is a medium-bodied wine. As I said before, this wine is actually a lot more acidic than I thought it was gonna be, which is great. I love that. I love acidity. Don't be scared of very acidic wines. It's actually a good thing, providing everything else is in balance. And yeah, with this wine, I think everything is in balance. The alcohol is kind of mid. It's not super high, but yeah, great acidity. It's actually relatively relatively fresh, and this would be a great food wine. So if you are interested in purchasing this wine, Domaine Marby Variations 2016 vintage. And just to recap, the grapes in this blend are Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Picpoul. So you can buy this from www.winedirect.co.nz, and it retails for about $29.99 New Zealand dollars. But yeah, great wine. I'm very happy with how this drinking experience has turned out. I was expecting something different. Okay, so moving a little further south into the region to a more delineated appellation by the name of Lirac. And this is the producer Plateau des Champs. And this bad boy is a blend of Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Bourbon. Just a little fun fact about Lirac as an appellation for you. So the soils here are so infertile and so poor, and you're probably thinking, well, why the hell are you going to plant grapevines there? Well, here's the thing. Because of their infertility and being so poor, it actually reduces the vigor of the grapevine. And so therefore the vines produce less fruit, but actually are producing a better quality fruit. So let's give this bad boy a taste. Plateau des Champs from the appellation of Lirac, which is very south in the Southern Rhône Valley. And this is a 2016 vintage with a blend of Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Bourbon. So on the nose, again, stone fruits, mainly peach. Yeah, but not just your standard peach. This is a kind of a white, candied, schnapsy, almost, yeah, schnapsy kind of peach aroma. Apple, lemon, and I'm also getting a little hint of fennel. Very interesting. Smells great though. So let's give this the little taste test now. So, the first thing I'm going to say about this wine is that is more of a typical white Rhone style. So straight away, I was like higher alcohol, which it is by 1.5%. So it's a 14.5 percent alcohol. Yeah, it's got a lower acidity and just like more body. So via the alcohol, but it's also got this like creamier texture on the mouthfeel. But in terms of the flavors on the palate, that schnapsy white peach I mentioned that you got on the nose, red apple, lemon, and just sort of like vague, sort of like hints of minerality popping through every now and then. So the last wine we tried, I mentioned that descriptor of wet stone. So there's a little bit of that. Overall, this is a more full-bodied expression of a white Rhône. It is a little bit more true to the whites that come from that part of France. But yeah, as I said earlier, with the explaining the styles of white Rhônes, they tend to be very aromatically pronounced. This one is. The previous wine was also, but even more so. This one just had a lot more body on the palate though. So creamy mouthfeel, high alcohol, and just a little bit more of a longer finish. Both great wines, but would serve different drinking purposes. If you are interested in purchasing this wine here, the Plateau des Champs from the appellation of Lirac, 2016 vintage, with the grapes Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Bourbon Blanc. You can get this from www.winedirect.co.nz, and this also retails for $29.99 New Zealand dollars. A quick conclusion on the two wines we've tasted today. So the first wine was the Domaine Marbie Variations 2016 Côte de Rhône. This was a blend of Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Picpoul. So this wine was far more aromatically pronounced. It had a higher acidity, lower alcohol, and just very fresh, lean expression of a Côte de Rhône Blanc, which makes for super easy food pairing. This wine would be great with any spicy or exotic cuisines. The next wine was the Plateau des Champs from the appellation of Lirac. This is a 2016 vintage, and the blend is Grenache Blanc, Claret, and Bourbon Blanc. So this wine, not as aromatically pronounced, but for a white Rhône, it was definitely aromatically pronounced, but not as much as the first one. More body on the palate, so this had a really creamy texture, higher alcohol, and it did have a lower acidity. And in terms of like what a white Rhône should be, this is definitely a benchmark. As for food pairings, I would say exotic cuisine would be fine with this wine. Just be wary of the spice level, because if you have it too spicy, you're going to heighten the alcohol burn in this wine, which already has 14.5%. So just be careful there. Otherwise, try some medium to hard cheeses, or maybe some cured meats / charcuterie, and I think those would also be very great complements with this wine. That brings us to the end of our second installment of Wine Stories, A Game of Rhônes. From the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank you all very, very much for tuning in. I do hope you find this information useful, somewhat educational, and insightful. If you have any questions or queries about any of the topics I've covered, I would love it if you left some comments on my YouTube channel, or you can private message me on my Instagram, which is @clapclapwine. And like I said, I would love to talk to you, and thank you again. The final thing I would like to mention is that there will be a third installment of Wine Stories, A Game of Rhônes. And in this episode, I'm going to be taking you on a little adventure into the sweet wines that are being produced in the Rhône Valley. So watch this space for more information on that, and I am going to try my very, very best to get that up as fast as possible. But thanks again for tuning in. I do really appreciate the views. And I will see you soon. Ciao.